G'day trendsetters, Greg here again from Fishplate Films, and I'm back! Just like that rash that won't go away, you know, you put cream on it and it just keeps coming back. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about speed curves in your Tsunami Decoders. Now don't freak out, we touched on this briefly in Programming Tsunami Decoders for Realistic Operations, Part 1 and 2. Now, before we go into today, if you haven't watched that video, go away and watch Programming Tsunami Decoders for Realistic Operations, and then come back and this will make a lot more sense. So I'll wait for you. Right, how was that? Good? Yes, very good. Okay, now you'll know in that we touched on very briefly speed curves. And basically what a speed curve is when you move your throttle up through its speed steps, the locomotive responds in the same manner as you're increasing your speed steps, so in a linear curve. So that's very important if you're running different decoders, because all decoders come with a linear speed curve. So you go to 50% on your throttle, you will get 50% voltage to your motor, and it's a linear curve. Now, also remember we discussed in Programming Tsunami Decoders, Part 1 and 2, to get more realistic operations you need to drop your maximum speed, which is CV 66 and 95. You need to drop that down quite a lot so all your notches become compressed and a bit more realistic and you get closer notching. Now, if you're happy with that, that's good. But Tsunamis, and I think some other decoders too, but Tsunamis give you a lot of options and you can put in different speed curves to make your locomotives even more realistic in operations. Now, the only downside to this is if you're running other decoders that have a linear speed curve, you can't run a different speed curve with another decoder that has a linear speed curve, because the locomotives will accelerate at different times. They may end up at the maximum speed at the same time, but they'll accelerate at different rates and have all sorts of bother, trendsetters. So, if you're going to do this today, do it with Tsunamis only, unless you have another decoder that you can adjust the speed curves. And as I say, I don't know about other decoders, so if you want to muck around with that, well, that's fine. But if you're running all Tsunamis, or if you have a bunch of Tsunamis that you want to just keep together, we'll go through this today and we'll get even better operation trendsetters. Because I've noticed that with some of my videos that I've been putting trains running on the start and again, that I'm not quite happy with the starting, and the notches, for my liking anyway, are still a bit far apart in some, especially in the lower speed ranges. So what we're going to do today, we're going to select a different speed curve, and that Eric Fisk actually talked to me briefly about in one of the Programming Tsunami videos. And Eric, yes, we've revisited this, and we'll go through the problems I had initially and how we overcome them. So first of all, we'll have a look at the speed curve, and we'll go from there. Now remember, in our initial settings way back in Programming Tsunami Decoders Realistic Operation, we went through and we unlocked our speed table, CV29 equals 50, and then we set our speed curve, which is the linear speed curve. So as you accelerate on your throttle, your voltage to your motor goes up in a straight line, which is the standard factory default. CV25 equals 2. Now I actually run mine at 10. Well, I used to run mine at 10, because that gives you slightly closer notching at the start, up to about notch 2 or 3, and then it starts to become sort of a broader linear curve. Now it's a little bit better than 2, but it's not much better. So I was sort of after even closer notching together, but we'll see that on the graph. Now, 66 and 95, that's your maximum speed, remember? With this new speed curve, you have to increase that slightly, just because of the nature of the curve. I tried setting it at my maximum speed that I run it at 70, and it just doesn't work. So that's why I didn't use it, but since I revisited, I've had to increase my maximum speed a bit, well, quite a bit actually. CV2, our start voltage, because we're increasing our maximum speed, we have to decrease this because we're giving it more volts, so we can decrease our CV2, our start voltage. CV212, our back EMF, we can leave that. CV209, our back EMF coefficient, yeah, you can leave that at 92 or wherever you're happy with it. CV3 and 4 acceleration, I've actually dropped that down to 100 because at the lower speed range the
the momentum seems to increase a lot, so I've dropped it to 100. And CV10, our back EMF cutoff, I've just increased that to 45, just a little bit for the hills, no biggie. Right, so let's have a look at the actual speed curve itself. Right, here's our speed curve. Now this can be found in your Tsunami user guide, page 18, but it's very small in there, so I've just done a rough copy. This isn't exactly the scale, but it'll do for this explanation. Right, the blue line here is our standard linear speed curve, which is CV25 set at 2. That's the factory default. So you see our speed steps along here, 0 to 128, and our motor voltage, or our motor speed here. So this is our linear curve. So as you accelerate through your speed steps here, you see your speed goes up in a straight line. Now I was using exponential speed curve 2. Don't worry about the exponential thing, that's all, you know, geeky shit. Let's just call it speed curve number 2, I think, exponential speed curve 2, which is CV25 set at 10. So that's what I used to run at. Now you see here in the lower speeds, in the lower speed steps, you see it lags a little bit here in your motor speed. Instead of your motor speed here, your motor speed's down here a little bit. It's not a great deal difference to your linear curve. Little bit, but not too much. But I wanted more trenches. I wanted more. Well, actually, I wanted less. I wanted more notching at less speeds, at the lower speeds when you're taking off out of a yard or up a hill, whatever. So, this is speed curve 3. Exponential speed curve 3, I think it is. Shit. Right, so the next one is CV25 set at 11. This is our next exponential speed curve. I think it's 3 anyway. Now, if you can see how it lags, the red line here, you can see how it lags a lot more down in this bottom section. So, you know, you're up to, this is sort of a rough copy of the drawing, you're up to speed step 20 on 128 speed steps. It's almost a flat line along here as far as your motor speed is concerned. And when you get to about, when you start getting into a speed step 21, 25, 27, 28, you see it starts to climb up here, and then it starts to accelerate. So in between your speed steps, you're gaining more motor voltage. And I really like it, because you start off out of a yard and you go through notch 1, 2, 3, and you're crawling and you're only accelerating very slowly. And when you get to about speed step 21, remember this is 128 speed steps, always run 128 speed steps if you have the option. You much smoother control. And when you get to about speed step 21, 22, you have to start moving the throttle a little bit slower, because each increment your speed is starting to increase. So down here, between say speed steps 10 and 14, and we'll show you in the demo when I run these locomotives, you can just run the throttle right up to 14 straight away, and with your momentum set, it makes no difference. Your locomotive just accelerates very slowly. It's very good. But once you get up to here, and this curve starts rising like this, you have to be a little bit more gentle on the throttle, as you would in the real thing, trendsetters. And then, of course, up here, at this end, you get up to your maximum speed. Now, even though I have gone up in my speed settings, in my 66 and 90 for maximum speed quite a bit, it hasn't affected the top end speed that much due to the nature of this curve. So I'll have a look at the settings I've used now on the new curve, and then we'll have a look and see what it looks like. Now you can see here by our new values that some things have changed. Of course, we've unlocked our speed table, CV29 to 50. We've chosen a new speed curve. Instead of CV25 being 2, which is our standard linear speed curve, we've gone to 11, which is the second exponential speed curve. The bottom one on the graph, if you're looking at it. Now, we've had to increase our maximum forward and reverse voltage, reverse speed, 66 and 95. Now, don't panic, I haven't turned into a slot car freak. It hasn't changed the top end speed at all. Now remember, with the Tsunami Decoders, I leave their factory default notching at 7, so every 7 you get a notch. So by the time you get to 42, you're on notch 8. So there's no point really in going much further on your speed table than 50 or so, because you've already in notch 8. So with 175 set at my maximum speed, I'm going about the same speed as I was at speed step 50 with my old setting when this was set at 70 on the old speed curve, so it's about the same. But our lower end speed performance, which you'll see shortly, is dramatically different. Now, because we've increased our top end speed, that increases the voltage over the whole speed range. So we need to lower our starting voltage, CV2. I used to run it at 6. Now I can go down to 3 now, so a slower, less voltage needed on the start. It's actually the same voltage, but in comparison, because we've increased our maximum speed, the whole speed range increases at the same time. So the whole range goes up. So CV2 to 3. CV3 and 4 is our momentum, our acceleration and deceleration. Please put a decent value into that so you get more realistic operation, as we said in the video. I've gone back to 100. I did have it at 125. Just going back to 100 because at the slow speed the momentum has really increased due to the graph. CV2 and 2 back EMF. Also remember, as low as you possibly can, set your locomotives on speed step 1 and keep backing your back EMF off 212 so the wheels will just spin on speed step 1. Or if you want even more realistic, you can have it even so they don't spin on speed step 1. But that can cause sort of jerking problems down the track. But if you have it so they'll just turn on step 1, CV212, set that as low as you can. CV209, this is sort of like a smoothing out of your CV212. 100 is pretty good. Anywhere from about 70 to about 120 is nice for 209. And our CV10, which is our back EMF cutoff. Remember, we want our locomotives to be working really hard on a grade, but to slow down. I've set that to 45. I did have it at 40, but I've set it now to 45. You can have that set, if you set that low enough, your locomotive will actually stall as you accelerate because you lose your back EMF too early. And you can do some really interesting things, but you really want it so your locomotives will slow down on a grade, but not stall. And that's up to you how you set it. I like mine at 45. Alright, well let's go and compare. I'm not going to show you how I set all these because you've watched the videos and you know how to program things, and you may have a Digitrack system, so your buttons are going to be different. So I'm going to go and put all these values in one locomotive of the consist and leave the other one in my old settings, and we'll compare the pair trendsetters. Right, trendsetters, here we are, 2 Atlas Silver series, both with Tsunami Decoders fitted, obviously. Beautiful locomotives, Atlas Silver series. Very nice, very happy with them. Just a little bit fiddly to put Tsunamis in, but well worth it. Okay, the locomotive nearest to us, 524, has the newly adjusted fishplate films settings. And the one behind, 516, has the older, still good Tsunami settings, but the older settings. So this will show the difference of the two. Now, as I said previously, if you're going to be running with other decoders, you won't be able to do this, other brands of decoders, or if you take your locomotive to someone else's layout, the speed curves have to be the same. But if you're just running Tsunamis, you want to put some together, I'm really happy with this new setting. So, Eric, yeah, I did have another go, and all I had to do was increase the maximum speed. Right, here we go. Speed step 1. Now, not much difference, but what happens when I'll go up to speed step 14. Here we go, straight up to 14. Now you can see the unadjusted one racing away there. Well, sorry, that's the new Tsunami. This isn't factory. This is still the fishplate film super duper settings, but 524. Here we go on speed step 14 now. And that's only notch 3. There we go, notch 4. Now you can see the locomotive closest to us, 524, slowly starting to accelerate. But 516 is out of the picture, man. So now as I move up the throttle now, I'm actually starting to accelerate with more realistically. Now the other guy, he's gone, trendsetters. Okay, here we go again, downhill. Now you can see 516 at the back there. Screaming away, we're up notch 3 now, speed step 14 on 28, sorry, 128 speed steps. So the notches now are very close together down in the slow speed range, but then as you speed up, they get closer, they end up getting closer together and basically end up back in the same speed. You can see they're starting to get to the same speed now. But 516 over there did it a lot quicker, so a lot less prototypically. On speed step 35 now, and you'll find that they're pretty close in speed. Now they're both at speed step 40 now. And you see 516 is a little bit quicker, but they mean speed match. The other one is the old setting, remember? So it's pretty close.
Well, trendsetters, there you go. That's just another example of how you can make your locomotives run even more prototypically using your Tsunami Decoders. Hope you enjoyed it. Now remember, it's not for everyone, and if you're running with other decoders that aren't set on that speed curve, well, you won't be able to do it. You have to set all your decoders to the same speed curve, as well as the same speeds obviously, but your speed curve will be a problem if you don't match the speed curves up. But anyway, I'm changing all mine to that now. I really like it, so that's another 20 or so I've got to do. And yeah, I think that's really good. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll be back with a layout update very, very soon. And thanks for watching again. Hooroo!